Here she is, the one, the only, Kelli O'Hara.
Oklahoma's Tony Award winner, Kelli O'Hara, in town for the holidays, performing with the Oklahoma City Philharmonic December 1st through the 3rd. Kelli O'Hara joins us on the phone right now. Kelli, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
How are the holidays going for you? And by the way, what do you typically do during the holidays?
Well, I usually work, as sad as that sounds. Thankfully, my work is pretty great, and it feels like a celebration. So it's a lot of fun. So it's been really nice to be home with my family for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be back around Christmas time as well, because I'm not in a show right now on Broadway, although I'm doing different things. Being here for the Christmas show is work, but it's also fun. So no complaints.
Well, and no complaints from the Oklahoma City faithful as well, because your work gives back to this community in the form of holiday cheer and Christmas cheer. So thank you for that work and giving back. How are things going with rehearsals with the Philharmonic?
Well, they were basically 100% when I walked in the door. So the group, the dancers, the choir, they're just amazing. And I've just kind of been placed right in the middle of them and doing my thing. And they've welcomed me with open arms. And so I think things are in great shape. We had a dress run through last night, and we have another one tonight. And I think we will be in good shape for the weekend.
Of a place I love even more than I usually do. And although I know it's a long road back, I promise you.
Your former OCU roommate, and Kelli O'Hara, went to Oklahoma City University, went to high school in Deer Creek, so she certainly has the Oklahoma ties. But I caught up with you with your former OCU roommate, Jessica Jeckman, in New York City a year ago when you were still with the King and I, and at that point, you're making frittatas and mimosas and being the perfect host. But you were talking about life beyond the King and I, so have you moved? Have you moved your family, and what does life beyond the Tony Award-winning performance in the King and I look like for you?
Well, I think that when we're kids, we always think there's going to be this place that you get to, and it feels like you've gotten somewhere. But really, it's just about the journey. And so, yes, we've moved to locations where we live. We wanted a little bit more space for the kids. I'm not doing the 8 show a week thing right now, so that's lovely as far as schedule goes. But I tend to be a little even busier because I'm trying to kind of figure out what the next step is. So I've been doing some television and lots of concerts, and there's one thing about Broadway that is great, that it's very consistent. And so this other kind of version is a little all over the place. So, I don't know, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but it's all an adventure, and I'm lucky that I get to do something that takes me on those adventures. So no complaints.
Well, that's great to hear, and that's a good perspective, too, looking at it as the adventure. Now, speaking of adventures, you were at Carnegie Hall recently. How did that go? And your husband, Greg, joined you on stage.
He sure did. And I guess now that you say that, I think I just said there's things that you look forward to and they seem like you could reach them. And that felt like one of those things for sure. I was in a disbelief that I was standing there with my own band and doing my own thing. It just felt really wonderful. And I had a lot of friends come up and join me, including a lot of OC students and dear close friends, and even family members come up and do the encore with me. But in the middle of the show, I did have my husband and his band come and sing a couple of songs, which I think was the highlight of the evening. And, it was a very personal show because that's what that show felt like for me. It felt like a stage of sorts to reach, and it made me very proud to be there.
Looking ahead to 2007, I see on your website, KelliO'Hara.com, you have a return trip to Carnegie Hall, but then also a stop in Japan.
I do. We're going to go. My old friend Matt Morrison, who most of you know from Glee, he and I are joining forces, as we always love to do some concerts together, and one of them is going to be out in Japan. I've never been, so neither of us have, so we're really looking forward to it.
All right, a couple quick questions for you to learn a little bit more about Kelli O'Hara here. What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
The first thing I do is probably see my kids either wake me up or I wake them up, depending on if it's a school day. And we do a little cuddle. we have to have a little bit of, mainly because I don't want to get out of bed, and we all just cuddle for a while. But that's the first thing, because the mornings are important at our house for being together. And then I got to have some coffee, and then we get going pretty quickly.
What about the digital space? Are you connected with email, social media? Are you addicted, or can you do without that?
I'd like to do without. I'm pretty embarrassingly a technical Luddite. I'm social media because I have to, but not because I want to. I personally don't even have a Facebook page, or I tweet on occasion, but honestly, it's more for my business. I'm a pretty private person, which is hard in my business, but I do check my emails because that's my work more than I'd like. But I'm not one of those people who is addicted, no.
Well, you certainly keep a very full resume. Do you have any sort of life hacks you would share? Or let's just say you have suddenly 15 minutes in your day that nothing's planned. What might you do?
Well, I definitely have to savor every free minute I have for my family and for my kids. But if they're at school and I'm not at work, I don't like, I'm not a shopper. I love to go to the grocery store. But right now, honestly, today I've got my daughter in a little preschool for the day. My son's back going to school. So I got myself my toenails painted. Let's be honest. I've got a big Christmas show tonight, and I wanted red toenails. So that's what I did.
That is fantastic. One final thought from you. Within this past year, you were honored at Oklahoma City University. You were honored with the Tony Award for your performance in The King and I, and then the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Just looking back on this past year, can you kind of recap that for us, your thoughts?
Well, listen, it's an embarrassment of riches. At one point, you start to think, well, gosh, everyone's just going to be sick and tired of looking at my face. But for me, it's been, not only has it been a honor, several honors that have made me just feel really, really proud and grateful, but also it's connected me with a lot of people in my past and reunited me with even family and friends that I don't get to see enough. And that part is the most special part. The awards and the honors are just amazing, but I feel like I have a long way to go still. And so now it's about finding out what the next 40 years look like.
She's Kelli O'Hara, Oklahoma native, Tony Award winner. You can catch her at the Civic Center Music Hall performing with the Oklahoma City Philharmonic. The Christmas show, December 1st through the 3rd. Kelli, thank you so much for your time. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to talk to you again.
You too.